welcome everyone. Good morning, namaskaram. Let's get into this. So first I wanted to chat with you guys. What are your thoughts in terms of what we should cover in this session? What are your thoughts?
How can we organize our slides and all? Like the message we want to give through this presentation, how can we organize it in a tidy way?
Okay, organization. Okay, super.
How to get the attention of audience?
How to get the attention of audience? You want attention? All right. Okay, good. Okay, great. What else?
So most often, like when we present prepare the presentations, we get to involved in the cases where we might want to show a lot of information, but it's not possible to just put that all in on a single slide and be able to go with it for them to receive it. So we might want to be able to condense all that information into something very small in a way that is acceptable by the viewers. So that's one thing I can think of at the moment.
And the thing that is needed to be focused. For example, in slide, not everything would be important or of the same importance level. So how to highlight that part that we need to focus on that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. I think both what Jagdish and Swap has talked about is a prioritization. Okay. Which part should I pick? Right. And what should I focus on? What should I not focus on? Right. These are some of the things that you would like to know. Okay. I'm actually glad that I think I have prepared in a similar way. So that's a good thing. All right. So this actually doesn't follow the regular standard approach that is presented at many places. So I felt this might be relevant for you guys. And also people typically say, okay, this person has made a very good presentation. Okay, that person has made a very good presentation. But if you look at it, the quote unquote presentation skills are actually about, thinking about what are the various aspects of this particular presentation and making decisions on each of those almost on an analytical basis. Okay. And if you do all of those right, then automatically your presentation skills will go up. Presentation skills is actually a combination of several skills, including prioritization and so on and so forth. Okay. Who is your audience, what to decide, what I should focus on, what I should not focus on, all of those things. And when you make all of those decisions, then the presentation improves. Okay. It is like you might say, okay, this person is a really good cook, right? But what is a good cook except to say, okay, the person actually may have certain skill related to, okay, how to taste, okay, maybe knowledge of various, recipes, and the person may have a lot of experience in it, all of these things, okay. But at the same time, if you are actually making paneer tikka, okay, the person knows where to pick, the right kind of paneer, right? How long to marinate, what are the various spices that should go into it, maybe even where to pick those spices, right? Maybe in this particular shop that has very, fresh spices somewhere, right? And all of those things, and how to use that, right? How to mix it, right? And put it all together, how long to marinate, right? And also how to cook it, right? So as in maybe if you put it in this particular kind of a vessel, and you have to put this kind of oil, you have to heat it for this long, preheat, not preheat, all of those things, right? There are various things that go into making it, and if you do all of those well, automatically the output will be good, right? So instead of thinking, okay, this person is a great cook or not so great cook, it is actually about what those individual pieces are, and that is what I hope to uncover in today's session. Okay. Yeah, anyway, so I think if you go into a conference, okay, more often than not, so it is, most people don't actually prepare well, okay. If there are 10 sessions, probably 2 of them are good presentations that you would really like, enjoy, and all of that. So when you go into conference, actually a lot of the time goes, if the conference is just a monotonous, have only one track, then there is not much of a decision that you have to make. But many conferences tend to have multiple tracks, so you have to choose. And frankly, you don't have information to choose. They only give you the topics, okay, in terms of what the topic is. They don't tell you how the speaker is, which makes a huge impact on the delivery, the output that you perceive from that. Okay, but mostly you may want to just Google up that person beforehand and see, if the person is a good speaker or not, and then attend that session, right? So this is what happens. The preparation isn't that good, so the delivery is bad, and the reception is fantastic, right? So everybody is dozing off, everybody is looking here and there, even though everybody in the audience is extremely interested, okay, in the stuff. All right, they want juice, right? I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. When you go and hear the speaker, what do you want? You want content, right? You want the person to be very prepared. You want the person to be ready to make a point, right? The PowerPoint, that's what you want to really hear. But more often than not, it doesn't happen. So you can see here, do you guys know, I'll just point to this one. Do you guys know what this is? I thought it's a heart symbol. Shoes. Shoes. And here there are more shoes, guys. You can see more shoes right here.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. I initially why did they put heart symbol there? All right. Okay. So let's go into this one. Okay. So what we are going to talk about today is how to be effective. Okay. We are not really talking about making great presentations. Okay. Because that sort of the line of thinking is a little different. We are really talking about how to make an impact, how to be effective at what you're doing. Okay, so at the end of it, the audience says, it's a good presentation. We achieved what we wanted, right? We got the stuff done, because that's essentially what we're talking about. Okay, what makes, why do you have to be good at, making presentations? Why do we have to do that? What is the importance of it? Let's discuss a little bit, and then we will go ahead.
So then in a short amount of time, we can explain what our thought process is and what we want from this our particular project.
Correct. Yes. So the time is very limited, right? And it's a premium time. Correct. Oftentimes, you will not get that opportunity again. Okay. So I'll tell you about one mistake that I made earlier. Okay. So there was one particular prospect. Okay. Still it's a presentation, right? Even if it's a prospect, for you guys largely deal with clients. So I deal with them before they become clients, right? One particular client, so we used to have I made one specific mistake, okay? And that cost that particular prospect, okay? So he's not a client of ours. So which means that the mistake I made was quote unquote effective. So I took a calculated risk, but the risk bombed. So there was one particular client where the client told us, typically, I use some of our visualizations to show, and that is really one area that we can really catch the client. Okay, so everything is more or less the moves that we make, right? But it's like this, okay? So let's say if you want to go catch a fish, right? You have to do many things. And this is the older time. These days, if you want to catch a fish, you go to the market and buy it. All right. But if you have to, let's assume, you have to go into a river and catch a fish, right? There are many things that you have to do, including you have to get your boat ready, you have to get the net ready. Maybe you'll have a team, that goes in. You have to go there. You have to wait, for the fish. Maybe there's a specific time they come out. A lot of things that happen. And then you have to cast the net, right? And then there is an act of catching it, right? So that is the act that completes the activity. All right. So similarly, there are many other acts in our game, but the real thing that catches it is that you actually tell them See, sales is nothing but you solve a problem. Okay, you solve a problem, they get convinced that, hey, these people can actually do the stuff. Okay, that is what sales is all about. Okay, so in our case, we actually I show a specific, a couple of visualizations and present it to them, and then that is what really catches their attention and say, okay, I think these guys can actually do it. Okay, so I have seen it, I've seen their work, they can do it. It's like saying you go to a restaurant, okay, and you have a piece of something, maybe a sweet or something like that, right? I'm sure with sweet shop you do this, right? All the time you go and you ask for taste, right? And then you have it, and if you feel it's good, that's when you buy it, right? Even though you went there, if the taste is not good, you would not buy it, right? So it's similar thing. So if you have the sweet, and then so what happened was the client actually, the prospect at that point in time told me something like they had a specific activity that they do where people move from one stage to another stage to another stage. And we have a visualization that is very similar to that, which is a gaming visualization. Sorry about that. Which is a gaming visualization. And
Hello.
I think there is some network issue.
I got lost. Yeah, actually, what I'll do is I will just not network. There is my phone started ringing this device. Yeah, I think now I'm good. I turned off my phone. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So I made a calculated. I took a calculator saying, okay, I'll show that visualization instead of a regular visualization. Okay, it's not such a sophisticated visualization. So what happened? It bombed. Okay. So what I'm telling you is that, and the client is gone because he had only limited time, and in that limited time, I used the time in a specific way. It did not work. Okay, so basically, how you utilize the time, okay, during that period is going to have an impact. Okay, it has an impact. So we keep telling, okay, so as you guys know, we are all oriented towards how to make the client happy, right? Even we have, of course, our organization itself is oriented towards how to satisfy and delight a client. But you also want to satisfy and delight a client, right? Because we even have a salary component that goes towards that, right? And it's not just that, but in general, I think all of us are oriented towards that. That's the reason why we are all here. And if we want that to happen, presentations are one of the keys that you have to fix, right? So let's say if you tried something on a specific visualization or maybe in some data analysis or in some program or something like that, and if it didn't work, right, when we are working on our own, what happens? Nothing happens. Just try something else and you get to it. But presentation is not like that. It involves external parties, right? Their time is very valuable. Our client's time is extremely valuable, and we want to utilize every minute of theirs and ensure that it is useful for them. Okay, so it is the paucity of this time, and what happens during that time. It's like an sorry to say it, but it's like an act. It's like a drama. Unless you get everything right, in a rehearsal you can go wrong, but on the main act you cannot go wrong, right? It is like a performing art in that sense. You have only limited time, and once the limited time is over, it's gone. Okay, you only have the next presentation that you can improve on. You cannot improve on the previous one. Got it? So these are some of the dynamics that basically affect the how things work, and so basically we have to ensure we are good at it. Okay, I think it's clear now, guys, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I probably stretched the point a little bit, but I just wanted to be conscious of it. Okay, so when we what affects this, there are three important factors, okay, that I believe sorry, so I don't have time actually. So Shravan, you do tell me when it is 9:35, okay? Please.
Okay, Chetan. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I want to ensure that I don't take extra time like I did last time. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I think I can actually look at it here. Okay. So coming back. So there are three important pieces. Okay. One is what I call the clarity of thought. Okay. It's a bunch of things. Okay, but we'll come to it one by one. Okay. So this affects a lot of our activities. So clarity of thought, guys. A lot of people. I think put it differently. So there are very few people who have clarity of thought. Okay, and what does clarity of thought mean? I will explain it. I will decode it. Okay, okay, that is one part of it. The second is expression. Okay, essentially, what is it that you're saying? Okay, and have you covered various things or not? And have you sort of hit the nail on its head? Okay, so far as what needs to be conveyed. Okay, so this has so the clarity of thought is like the software that runs. Okay, the expression is basically various pieces that you would cover, how much time you would spend on each of these, all of those things, and also using English, have you really conveyed the right point at the right time or not? Okay, these are some of the factors that go into expression. All right, the third is preparedness. Okay, so are you prepared adequately to deliver it or not? So preparedness is more like, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, sometimes you may even have to rehearse. Okay, but maybe you should spend the time to be able to be prepared for it. Okay, so it's not going to happen without that. You spend the time and then you will be prepared for it. Only then it will happen. Okay, so it will involve various things like keeping your laptop ready, right? Keeping the visualization ready, because some of the softwares like Tableau that we use actually takes time to load, right? Every time. It's consistent, so that's a good thing, right? So sometimes just rebooting your system, okay, so that it doesn't take more time than necessary, right? Things like that. There are a few things that will go into preparedness, including doing rehearsals, right, and things like that. I think you guys are clear about what I'm talking about. We will cover each of these. Today we are only going to cover about clarity of thought, okay? And hopefully if I have adequate time, then yes, otherwise we may want to just push it to the next session also. Okay, so what does clarity of thought mean? Okay, so here are some of the things. Okay, who is the audience? What are their goals? Okay, what is my role in it? Okay, what is the role specifically that I am playing? Okay, what is my own goal? Okay, also plays an important it has importance as to if you are clear enough as to what you feel is my own goal and my own role. Okay, and also clarity of the idea itself. What are you trying to present? Okay, knowing it adequately. Okay, all of these pieces have their own role to play. Okay, so if you think of it, I think I'm sure you guys know. So people keep saying, I was at the right place, right time, things like that, right? Have you heard of it? Right? Yeah. So actually take SWAP. So SWAP, you do photography, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go there. People say, every time people, look at a good picture, they say, okay, which camera did you use? Right? But camera does play an important role, but it's not everything, right? If you go look at it, somebody took a picture of a sunset, all right? Okay? If you look at what is out there, the magnificentness of the stuff there, right? In photography, they call it the object, right? It's enormous. If you look at the sky is so beautiful. It is so big and it's so vast. Big is not the right term. It is so vast. And there's the sun. Sun itself is a huge beauty, right? And it's at a time when the sun is setting, right? In order for it to create that whole orange thing, right? The color in the sky. Look at the number of things that have played a role in making that happen. Okay, so and maybe a mountain, right? And all the trees and everything, there are clouds right there, and you did the act of capturing it in the camera, right? Of course, camera does play a role. There is no doubt about it. But it's not the camera. Actually, some time ago, I read an article about photography called "It's Not the Camera." The title of the article itself is called "It's Not the Camera." Okay, people seem to be, worried about the wrong thing. And of course, camera does have a role to play. But it's not everything, right? So if you look at today, especially, right? If you look at the top 5 cameras, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference. In fact, in each of them, you can more or less say that the picture will actually come out better than the object, which is happening these days, right? But I think the point that I want to make is that if you look at the amount of things that are going on, okay, the camera itself is very limited. But I want you guys to know that you have to be there at that place to be able to capture that, right? So the sunset only happens, maybe you get a span of about 20 minutes, right? Maybe that day happened to be a really great day. Next day, maybe it actually rained, right? And the previous day it rained, okay? But you happen to be there at the right time, right? So in the gamut of things that are out there, okay, there are just a few that you can control, but you should also be conscious of it. Right? If you went there at the right time, so you go there to the same place in the afternoon, will you be able to get that picture? Right? Swap knows it very well.
It happened to me in Anandgiri Hills. I went to Anandgiri Hills for clicking sunrise, but it rained that day.
It rained, okay. You got lucky.
I was unlucky because the sunrise was...
Just kidding. Right. No, if it rains, we are lucky. Anyways, you didn't get the picture, but you got the rain. But okay. So people. So bird photography is extremely tough. Okay, I don't want to go into details here, but just a fraction of a second has the entire impact because birds just keep moving. Tick 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 tick. They'll keep moving. So if you just get lucky, you'll get a good picture. Otherwise, you can end up spending all the time and not have a single picture. Okay. So I think we should have enormous respect for people who, when they had films and they shot, okay, and they got a good picture and we were able to enjoy that picture, that too about birds that I'm talking about, you should be really, really grateful about them because they would have spent enormous time in just keeping that picture, okay, and they would have wasted, I don't know how many, shots before getting there. These days it's very easy, right? You can actually continue to keep the button pressed and it will keep taking so many pictures and life becomes a little easy, comparatively, okay? But anyway, so coming back to this, what I want you guys to know is if the picture came out right, it is not just because the person took it, but also a lot of other factors played a role in it, okay? What are those other things? Okay, these are the other things that have played a role, and many times we might be completely unconscious of it, especially in the beginning of your career. You might be completely unconscious of it. Okay, you have to make these mistakes over time for you to figure out, and I'm hopefully telling you that without having to make those mistakes, right? Okay. So, all right, I know it's about 9:35 right now. We have a little bit of time. Should we go a little overtime today also?
Yeah, that works.
I want to take your permission. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I will try and cover these. I don't think I'll be able to cover a lot of them, but I'll cover some of these. All right. So who is the audience, right? So this plays a role. I want to give you an example, right? You go out to the wine shops, okay? Right? The wine shops are designed in a specific way. Can you tell me how they are? I don't know how they are designed inside, but from outside, to the extent that I know, right, I can tell you. Go ahead.
Iron grills in the front of shop so that you can't enter.
See? So what this tells you is the shop guys, whoever is managing their stuff, they know their audience very well. Right? They know their audience very well. So they keep grills outside that they can protect their stuff. All right. Okay. So see, if you look at what happens, so this I notice in my house. I have two kids. One is 10-year-old and the other is 5-year-old. Okay. So we don't give that much, time. Actually, my younger one keeps taking a decent amount of time these days in front of TV. Ideally we would, I'm trying to curb that. But I can see that the 5-year-old has her own preference, and the 10-year-old has her own preference in terms of what they want to watch. Okay. So I'm sure, between me and Saiti, my wife, we may have our own preference. Sometimes these days it's, we watch the same thing, but we may have our own preference also. Okay. So if these people have their own preference, you also should know that the audience will have a huge impact on what they want to listen. Okay. If you are not fine-tuning the content to the audience, okay, if you are unconscious of it, okay, then it will have an impact. So you should be very, very conscious of who the audience is, okay, and it will have a huge impact. I'll give you a few examples. Remember I told you earlier, right? I made a mistake of choosing one content over the other.
Yep.
There was a bomb. Okay, I can tell you many cases. So typically what I do is, in our case, we just get lucky, right? In most of our cases, that we know the audience well, right? So, some of the clients that we are handling. So we have dealt with them many times over, okay? And so you get to know what is it that they have, what their preferences are, how they react to various things, right? And also what's the context as of today. I think I haven't really put that over here, but that's also very important. What's the context today, okay? As opposed to what it was yesterday or day before, or maybe, 10 days earlier or something like that, okay? So there was recently one incident where, so we were presenting, right? And I told one of our team members, hey, this particular person already knows this content, okay? We have already presented this stuff. What, he or she needs to know is just the layout part of it, So the current context is that we are looking at, the look and feel of it, okay? So I think, he has done a very good job otherwise. But I'm just trying to tell you that, hey, these are some of the cases that can happen that, if you are conscious of it. Okay, so, but one thing that I want to tell you guys is that you don't have to figure this out alone, okay? All the things that I'm going to talk about here, right? So it is a team game. I want you to be very conscious of that, okay? Which means, just like, so I think Swap had asked me some time ago, Akhil had asked me some time ago, okay? What's going to happen today, okay? Right? You guys have asked me, and that was a very good thing you guys have done. Okay. So what's going to happen today? What's the context today? What are we going to present today? Okay. Is something that you should ask. So many times, I think this is also a male thing, that not enough questions are asked, and they also feel like this is a test for me, right? I want to prove myself, I want to be a macho kind of a thing, right? I think, so it can happen. So I think it's a good idea to ask, okay? I made that mistake once, okay? I think it's really bombed, really bombed, okay? This was early on in my career, many years ago. I was supposed to make a presentation, and we were actually training a new bunch of people who came on board, and I was supposed to make a presentation. I did not ask one question, okay, to my boss, and I think my boss was very willing to give that information. Okay, and in fact, you would have liked it. Okay, and I made that presentation, and I obviously completely take responsibility for it. And when it happened, and I learned a lot from that, because I felt that it was my thing, I'm supposed to know, and I didn't ask the right questions. Okay, if I had asked them questions like, okay, what should we be covering? Okay, and what is the depth that I should go into? Okay, in fact, some part of it was new to me only. Okay, it's not like I was an expert at it, but still I chose not to ask. Okay, which I felt, as I said, was a mistake, right? I could have also figured out what he felt was important, okay, in that particular presentation to be covered, okay? because always there is a specific focus. I will just turn off my video just for a minute. Sorry. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, because we are working from home, some of these things happen. Okay, so I was just telling you, so I could have asked other things like, so hey, what are the specific topics that we should cover, and in what depth should we cover? Okay, and so these are all assumptions that I made. Okay, all the assumptions that we make. Okay, again, all the things that we talked about, limited time, the time gets over, it's performance. Once the performance is over, you cannot correct it back, right? All those things do come in and play a role. Okay, and all the critical assumptions. Okay, every critical assumption that you have, that you're making, okay, should be vetted, unless you know for sure that that you need not, or you already dealt with it a number of times, right? If it's the same audience, you have dealt with it a number of times, you have practiced it a number of times, then maybe no. But otherwise, okay, I think I would say 99% of the time, even if you know it, it's a good idea to vet it with the people that you're working with, your seniors, etc. Right? Sometimes even with clients. Okay, so you can say, hey, what is it? If you don't know, you should talk to them and say, hey, what is it that you're trying to achieve today? Something like that. Okay. So like I was telling you guys some time ago, basically I look at the audience, okay, and I research them. I look at their LinkedIn profile, right? So that gives me an idea of who the individual is. Okay, so sometimes the individual maybe so oftentimes we do get we do get audience who are very senior, right? So recently I was talking to some individual. That person is the CEO of the company, right? And he has like several people lined up for the presentation. So everyone sort of accepted my invite, okay? So that told me who all are going to attend. So then I look each of them up online to see who they are, okay? So I can get the context of all of the individuals, okay? As opposed to that, when you make a presentation, many times you already know who the individual is. I think that's the difference that I'm trying to make. But if the audience is new, sometimes it happens that, so a new individual is going to join and you haven't talked to that person, and there is something that you guys are going to talk. So it's a good idea for you to check out who that individual is, okay? So these are some of the things. I think you can sort of look at some of these things, right? So will they like what you say? Eventually, are you going to be successful or not? Right? How will they interpret what you say? Okay, so sometimes we have legal audience who come. Sometimes there are IT department folks who come into our calls, right? So they have their own context, right? So for example, some time ago we had a big tool that we are building for a client. Okay, and the IT people have joined that. Okay, and when the IT people join, so let's say business folks, they don't really care. If let's say you have to use a database, okay, and the database is, let's say, is on the cloud, okay, but IT people, they are there primarily to ensure the sanctity of the application and how vulnerable or how secure it is, right? So that is one of the main reasons why the IT folks to join the call, and that's one of the important factors that is running in their mind. Okay, so what you say, so a business guy, for example, especially if it is a smaller company, they are not going to bother that much. Okay, they'll say, okay, that's fine. If you guys prefer that this should be on AWS or Azure, that's fine, no problem, right? So okay, so they don't know how to make all of these things happen. They'll actually be very happy if you actually get things done for them. But on the other hand, one of the clients, they said, okay, no, you should not use anything outside, because we can provide it for you in no time, because they already have the infrastructure, they have the knowledge of it and all of that. Our specific client that we are dealing with, he or she did not have it, but IT knows it. Okay, so who the audience is makes a big difference. Okay, what will their questions be? I think it's very clear, depending on if they are IT or if they are legal, right? Or if they are relatively lower in the organization versus higher in the organization. Okay, that plays a huge role in terms of what questions they are going to ask and how they are going to interpret what they perceive. Okay, and eventually will they approve or not? If you are actually going to make an ask, right, either about the time or something, right? Oftentimes, I think you guys are seeing, it will take X amount of time, it will take this kind of a budget, it will take, it will take this much amount of, time so that, we can deliver, it affects the delivery time. All of these things, it's going to have an impact. Clear, na? Okay. So I will also quickly cover what are their goals. Okay. I think I covered some of these, which department, will cost hurt them or not? This is something that I want you guys to know, because many times we assume that cost does hurt them. Okay, and we almost go to them saying that, okay, so hey, you don't want to spend, kind of an assumption. But recently, I think you guys know, a couple of you guys have been in that call where the client said, I think this is not a big budget for us, we can easily afford it, right? So I think you will have a lot of assumptions in your mind, which I feel you have to vet it. Okay, sometimes I may know it, so because I may lead a call, for example, I may know it. Many times I may not know it. Okay, it is a good idea to also vet with the client, okay, so that you would know whether something hurts or not. Okay, so I want to tell you guys that things that we feel don't hurt, they actually hurt them a lot more. Okay, an example of this I'll tell you. It is so sometimes I'll also give you an example, but first I'll give you a business example and I'll give you a non-business example, and with that we will actually close for today. So see, for the client, let's say, in terms of budget, okay, so sometimes what happens is there may be multiple times you may have to go and ask for budget, okay, in which case the client actually prefers, many times we don't come across this at this point in time. Earlier, we used to have smaller projects where it hurts much more, okay, so where in the context where there is the direct client that we are working with, and there is a senior of him or her, okay, from whom the person has to take an approval, okay, and if we say the budget is X, okay, and we do not factor in certain additional aspects that have to be done, okay, then the client actually has to go to his or her boss and take an approval. Okay, so for them, whether the budget is X or 2X doesn't really matter. But the fact that they have to go back and take another approval makes a big difference for them. Because you think of it like this, you have to actually go and ask a senior, okay, it's an additional ask when compared to the previous ask. Even for that individual, okay, the senior, also it doesn't make a difference whether it is X or 2X. Okay, maybe it is within their budget and they can, sort of bear it. Okay, but the fact that our direct client has to go back and ask him or her for another approval means that they have to take their time, ask for it. They don't want to do that. It hurts them. Are you guys getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? So cost doesn't matter. It's the approval that matters to them. Okay, so you have to know what is it that matters to them. There could be other cases where the budget matters, and I'm not saying that budget is not a constraint at all, okay? But so maybe 10x or 20x, maybe the budget will matter, but at that level, the budget doesn't matter. So I want you to know that what hurts them, what doesn't hurt them, you have to know. Based on that, you can act. You guys getting what I'm saying? Got it, na? Okay, got it. So here again, what are they trying to optimize for is something that you should know, okay? Sometimes they might be, and also this is also context dependent, okay? Early on, they might be optimizing for something else. Later on, they are optimizing for something else. Right now, we are going through a context where, okay, the client is actually optimizing for the number of audience and what tools they have to use the stuff that we are making for them, okay? I think you guys know what I'm talking about, okay? A couple of you guys, right? So it doesn't really hurt if the budget is taken, okay? That is not really a big constraint for them, but they want to ensure that the users are able to use the stuff that we are doing without additional hassle from their side, without having to install without having to spend the time to boot certain things like that. Okay, as opposed to, hey, the cost is fine, no problem. So what they're trying to optimize for, you should know. And I think, frankly, guys, I think we have been sort of, pushing towards one thing. But obviously, when the user says we have to lower our own sense of what is right and wrong, and really listen to what the customers are saying, because it is their stuff. We are trying to help them, right? So which means that our whole stuff, whatever we are doing, eventually has to work for them. Okay, so which means we have to lower our own quote unquote ego, whatever else, it is my suggestion, I will, press for it. No, we have to look for what the client has to say, right? And it is their goals that have a priority, okay, over our goals. Okay, over, our goal is their goal. I'll come to that later. Our goal is their goal, simple, right? Copy paste that. Here, copy paste is accepted, right? Their goal is our goal, right? So we are here to ensure that, their goals are met, right? So if we don't know what their goals are, will we be able to meet them, right? Which means that we have to be conscious of their goals. Okay, guys, I think at this point I will hold, because I'm already over time, right? And we will continue this in the next session, in number 2. Okay, that's why I said, it's not going to happen in one session. I think we'll have to schedule it next week also. Yeah. Okay, guys. Sir, go ahead, please.
It was about the which depth. So when we are meeting a client first time, prospective. So how do we decide the depth of a presentation?
Okay, that's a really good question. So what is I think I will cover this in greater detail, but I will give you a little bit of a few thoughts now. Okay, so how do you decide the depth? Depends again on the audience and the context. Okay, and what they are trying to do. So I'll keep giving you a lot of examples of the disasters I made, okay? So that you guys know. So some time ago, I met a person, if this were not to be recorded, I would have told you which country, but I will not do that right now, right? So they are known to be picky. They are known to be a little not very polite, let me put it like that, okay? I started to tell her the real stuff, what I felt was the real stuff, okay? And the person quickly said, no, I'm not interested in, this is very technical, don't tell me the technical stuff, okay? I didn't even get into depth. I was at a very superficial level, okay? So I think and also typically, and we also see this, I think Jagdish knows this very well. So if it is a data scientist that we are talking to, they really want to talk about, what are the data issues, which algorithm, how did we tweak it, right? It will go really in depth into what that is. But if it's a business audience, they are really focused on the results. Okay? So, I got what you're saying. What is the result? Tell me, what impact did it make? How much bottom line did it add, or how much improvement did it make? Tell us about that, right? So how much depth, and it's also a function of the time, the client context and all of that, okay? So you have to sense it, okay? So if this is the first time the presentation is being made, okay? I think some time ago you guys saw a presentation, okay? Same presentation made to 2 different audience by our client, okay? One went on for, I think, hour plus, and the other one, he wrapped it up in just half an hour. You guys know what I'm talking about? Swap, Akhil? Right? So I think you didn't watch the second one, because I told you guys at the time, hey, look at this particular presentation, which is hour long, it covers everything. Maybe you did not see, but the same. You remember what I'm talking about, sir?
Yeah.
So there, the client chose the depth because one specific audience wants it in depth, and it's also relevant for them. The other did not. Okay, so it is wholly a function of the audience. Number 1. Number 2, how much their needs are and all of that, what are their goals and all of that, and also the function of the time and everything. So it's a matter of that. Okay, and also if it's a team thing that we are playing, also setting the context in terms of what's going to be covered today, okay, will also give you a sense of how much depth you have to go, because it will determine how much time you have. Okay, that will automatically tell you how much depth you have. And if the client expresses interest, okay, then you can obviously go in further depth. Okay, na? Okay, so that's a quick answer, Swap. I'll hopefully I will cover this in future session.